right, so in this problem here, we're asking ourselves now to rationalize the denominator of this thing. How is this different from the other problems we've done? It's not a square root of 4, it's a fourth root, right? It's a fourth root, so the index is different. So recall when I said to get rid of a radical, right? It's a monomial, right? So oh, good, it's a monomial. We just multiply it by itself. Because we've learned in the past that if you multiply a number by itself, it just becomes the number, right? Or it just becomes a radicand. Well, that's only true if the index is square root. If the index is a 2, that means you need a pair to pull out, right? If the index was 4, is a pair enough to pull out? No, it isn't. So, in the fourth root of 8, if I multiplied it by itself, is that enough to pull out the 8? No. So since it says the fourth root, how many do I need in order to pull it out? 4. I need 4 of a kind. Remember the game? So the fourth root tells you the rules of the card game. You need 4 of a kind in order to pull it out. So I have 1, 2. Guess how many more I need to put? 2 more. Fourth root of 8 times fourth root of 8. So I'm multiplying by itself, and there's going to be a total of 4 of them. So be careful of the index, right? The index will tell you the rules of the game. So here, since now there's 4 8s, now I could pull out. So there's 4 of a kind, now I could pull out the 8. So now the bottom just becomes 8. No more radical. Dun, dun, dun. And whatever you do to bottom, you do to top. So similarly, I'm going to have to do the same thing to the top. Right? So when I do the same thing to the top, I have 7 sitting on the outside. 7 is just a whole number. And then have the fourth root of, what's 8 times 8 times 8? So a fourth root of 512, right? And I'm tempted to say that's my final answer, but is it? I don't know. Let's see if we could do what to the 512. Can we simplify it? Can we waterfall it, right? So 512, so for those of you that don't like the waterfall method, do whatever floats your boat. This is just my way of teaching the class, but you don't have to do it that way. So I'm going to see if I can simplify 512 to make this into its lowest form. What's the smallest number that divides by 512? 2. So therefore, so again, this is my backwards division without needing to use a calculator. 5 divided by 2 gives me 2 with a remainder of 1. So I'm going to put the 1 here. So that makes this an 11. 11 divided by 2 gives me a 5. That gives me a remainder of 1. So this is a 12 now. 12 divided by 2 gives me a 6. So a fancy schmancy way of doing upside down division. 256 divides by 2. So again, without using calculator, 2 divided by 2 gives me 1. 5 divided by 2 gives me 2 with a remainder of 1. So now this number next to it becomes 16. 16 divided by 2 gives me a 8. Dun, dun, dun. 128 divides by 2. 1 cannot divide by 2, so I take the next number, 12. 12 divided by 2 gives me a 8 divided by 2 gives me a 4. Okay, keep going. Waterfalls. Divide by 2, I get 32. Divide by 2, I get. 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 There you go. That's a lot of 2's, right? So how many do I need to be able to pull it outside of the radical? 4. So how many groups of 4's do we have? Okay. We have 2 groups of 2's, There's 2 groups of 2's. So outside, I have a 2 times 2, which is 4. And inside, I have what left over? 2. And remember, that's to the fourth root. So here, this number, fourth root of 512, this thing becomes 7 times 4, and the fourth root of radical 2. So therefore, this numerator, just noticing something. Okay, well, I'll just do this for part. What's 7 times 4? 28. So I get 28 on the outside. Fourth root of 2. The bottom is 8. I see an 8 and 28. Do they have a common factor that can be canceled out? What does 28 and 8 have in common? 4? What's 28 divided by 4? 7. What's 8 divided by 4? 2. So, dun dun dun, my final answer is 7, fourth root of 2, all over 2. There might have been a faster way of doing this. This is the way that I did it. If you guys have a faster way, do whatever floats your boat, right? But again, first thing I did is I got rid of the radical. And then whatever do bottom to top, I simplified the top by using the waterfall. And once I did that, then I canceled all common factors. So I got 7, fourth root of 2, all over 2.